Hi, welcome back to Storytime. In the last chapter, Addie was sent on a very special job to go to the other flats and take all of the food, put it in one place so they could see how much food they've got left. So clearly the adults are worrying about how much food they've got left and how long it's going to last. We still don't know who came back from Gaia's Tower with Obi, and Obi's been very secretive about it. So let's see if we find out in this chapter. Chapter 37. The next day is much the same. I bring food from the top floor down to Dory and she puts it all into different piles in the flat. All the bags of rice and pasta are kept in the bath, bottles are put in the kitchen and tins are kept in the bedroom. Dory says I can take a break from carrying the food after lunch and tells me to arrange the tins for a bit. I spend a long time building them up into a castle with 4 tall turrets at each corner and battlements at the top of the walls. Dory laughs when she sees it. That wasn't exactly what I meant, Addie, but a splendid piece of work nevertheless, she says, and I feel pinkly glad from her praise. Sometimes it feels like it has always been Dory, Obi and me, and that it will go on this way, unchanging forever. That evening, though, as I approach Dory's door for dinner, I hear something new, something different. It isn't Obi's low, deep rumble of a voice or Dory's sing-song way of speaking. It is someone else, someone new. I stop myself from opening the door straight away, as though I want to prepare myself. It must be the person from Gaia's Tower, the person that Obi rescued. Someone who might be able to tell me where Gaia is. They might know her. They might have seen her leave, maybe. My heart seems to skip 2 beats, one after another, and I feel excited and oddly nervous, which makes me dally in the doorway for just a few more minutes before I knock on the door. Oh, that's Addie, I hear Dory say. Come in, Addie! I push the door open slowly. Now, Addie, what have I told you about knocking? Dory chides. You know you can just come straight in. There is a tall, thin man sitting at the table. He has sandy hair that looks like it's a bit overgrown and a wiry blonde beard that makes his face look quite long. Dory says to me, This is Ben, Addie. Say hello. Hello, Ben, I say. I pause. I want to ask him about Gaia straight away, but something about the way he looks stops me. Ben's eyes are red, as if he's been rubbing them really, really hard, and his hair is sticking up all over the place and looks greasy. Of course, we're all looking a bit grubby these days. We don't wash hardly at all anymore. Water is too precious to waste on washing, Obi says. Instead, we've all got lots of packs of baby wipes, which we use, but there's nothing we can do about our hair. I've never seen Obi's hair sticking up like that, though. I decide to wait until later to ask Ben if he knows Gaia and if she left the tower. Ben doesn't talk much that evening. He doesn't join in when Dory, Obi and I tell each other what our favourite animals are. Me, dog, Dory, elephant, Obi, gorilla. And he doesn't say, That's great, Dory, thanks for dinner, when he finishes eating, like Obi and I always do. He just sits there, eating really slowly. After I finish, Dory spoons out some food on a plate for me to take up to Mum. Do you want to take this now, Addie, and then come back for some cards, or shall we just see you in the morning? I'm just about to say I'll come back when Ben starts speaking. Where's his mum? He says. And he looks from me to Dory to Obi. No one says anything. It's one of the things that from the very beginning made me like Dory and Obi. They've always seemed to know, without me telling them, that I don't want to talk about Mum not coming out of the flat. It's not that we don't talk about Mum. They often say, Oh, how's your mum, Addie? Or, I hope your mum likes dinner tonight, or something like that. And sometimes I tell them little stories about Mum and me, but they've never asked me, why don't we see your mum? Or, what's wrong with your mum, Addie? And they never sound angry or cross with her when we do talk about her. Not like Michael's mum. She used to say to me all the time, I don't know what that mother of yours is thinking. She would sound so mad when she said it. It was as if she was spitting the words from her mouth like orange pips. Yeah, why isn't she with him? Ben is saying now. His voice is getting louder now and his stare is getting harder as he looks at each one of us. I think I can feel it zapping me in the face through the air. I can see that Dory and Obi are trying to think of the right thing to say. They don't want to tell him that Mum can't leave the flat, but at the same time there isn't much more to say other than that, so I just tell him. Oh, says Ben. Or can't she walk very well? No, it's not like that, I say. She just doesn't want to go out of the flat. She doesn't like it so much that she can't do it. Ben is looking at me so hard now that his eyes start watering. Then I realise his eyes aren't watering, he's crying. Dory puts her hand on his shoulder because he's really sobbing now and he's not looking at me anymore. He's put his face right down onto his plate of food. Come on, Addy, Obi says. I'll walk up with you. I stand up, and even though I don't want to go because I haven't asked Ben about Guy yet, I walk to the door with Obi. We leave Dory's flat and start climbing up the stairs because it's summer, there's plenty of daylight until quite late, which means we don't have to worry about taking torches around with us after dinner. I say this to Obi and he nods. Obi, why did Ben cry when I told him about Mum? I ask. And what Obi tells me next really surprises me because I thought Mum was the only person who didn't like going out. Yeah, Ben had a wife who was a bit like your mum, he says. She didn't like leaving her bedroom, but she died, and that's why he's so sad. I can't believe that there are other people like Mum, especially that there was someone like Mum who didn't live very far away, who was only down the street in Gaius Tower. I suppose that only the people who really couldn't leave would have stayed, like Mum, and then me because I won't leave her, and Ben's wife, and then Ben because he wouldn't leave her. I wonder why Dory and Obi stayed. I'll ask them sometime. They must have a reason too. I suppose there are so many of us all in these towers, all on top of each other, one firmly above another and another and another, so that we are stretching to the sky, that maybe it's not so strange that there was someone like Mum in Gaius Tower. Maybe there was another Dory and another Obi too. Perhaps there was another Addy. And then we're at my flat. Obi tells me to wait for a little bit, but to come back down in a bit if I want to. Then he leaves and I listen to his footsteps disappear down the corridor. Mum's bedroom is quiet and dark. I pull open the curtain a crack so the last of the day's sunlight makes a yellow line on the wall. Mum doesn't wake up. I take her dirty plate and carefully place her dinner on the table. It's funny to think she hasn't met Obi or Dory or even Ben. I wonder if she wants to know how I'm getting all this food now and where I go all day. Does she think I'm still going to school? Has she looked outside and seen what the Blutchers have done? I look at her sleeping face. She's so still and silent, but I can hear the tiny sighs as she breathes in and out. I hear her then tiptoe out of the room and close the door behind me. Only when I'm walking back down to Dory's flat do I remember that I forgot to shut the curtain, but the thought makes me feel glad somehow, because I know that tomorrow morning Mum will wake up in the sunshine, not in darkness.